Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into how a 2,500-year-old Chinese philosophy holds the absolute perfect antidote to your modern stress-filled life. Seriously, if you've ever felt like you're just constantly paddling upstream just to keep your head above water, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to unpack the core teachings of the Tao Te Ching, and we'll see exactly how these ancient ideas about the natural flow of life can help us cure modern burnout. So picture this. It's a typical Tuesday morning. You wake up and you're already feeling behind before you've even finished your first cup of coffee. Your phone has, 17 notifications staring back at you. There's that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, a work problem that definitely didn't magically solve itself overnight, and a to-do list that somehow grew while you were sleeping. It's that universal feeling of modern overwhelm. You are caught right in the messy middle of a fast-paced life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might think ancient Eastern philosophy is just for monks on some mountaintop retreat, right? But Lao Tzu's text, the Tao Te Ching, is actually a highly practical survival guide meant for exactly this kind of daily friction. It wasn't written to live on a dusty academic shelf. It's literally an instruction manual for living well under ordinary, chaotic conditions. It's all about shifting how you relate to the life you already have, rather than forcing you to go out and somehow get a new one.
All right, let's look at Section 1, Understanding the Natural Way.
To really see how the Tao can help us, it's fascinating to contrast two giants of Chinese philosophy. So, Confucius believed we find harmony through constant striving, strict rules, and adding knowledge. It's a very structured, effort-heavy approach. Honestly, it sounds a lot like our modern hustle culture. But Lao Tzu, the legendary author of the Tao Te Ching, argued the exact opposite. He believed society works best when we subtract the excess, unlearn our rigid assumptions, and just let things naturally flow. She taught that true virtue is natural. It emerges when you actually stop striving so hard.
That brings us to Section 2, Striving versus Letting Go.
At the very core of this worldview is a game-changing concept, Wu Wei. Literally translated, it means non-doing or not acting. But listen, it absolutely does not mean being lazy or passive. Instead, think of it as effortless action. It's about intelligently engaging with life without fighting the natural grain of things. Basically, not adding unnecessary force to whatever you're doing. It's that profound realization that sometimes the effort itself is the exact thing standing in your way. This paradox is captured brilliantly in Ursula K. Le Guin's poetic translation of the text. She wrote, "When you do not doing, nothing's out of order." And the Taoist worldview widely uses these kinds of paradoxes to really sharpen the point. You accomplish what needs to be done not by forcing it, but by aligning with the natural flow of the moment. So how do we actually do this? Let's get into Section 3, Applying Tao to Daily Life. It starts literally the second you wake up. You need to honor your yin energy. In Taoist thought, the early morning maps to yin, which has this quiet, receiving, inward quality. Your mind hasn't yet been shaped by the day's demands. But what do most of us do? We immediately override this by reaching for our phones before our feet even hit the floor, dragging all that active, stressful yang energy toward us right away. The Taoist practice here is super simple. Try giving your first 10 minutes to stillness. Drink your tea, look out the window. Just let the day arrive on its own terms. And you can practice Wu Wei in tiny, mundane moments throughout your day too. If a jar is stuck, try rotating it instead of wrenching it with brute force. If you've been drafting this angry, frustrating email for 40 minutes, just close the draft and step away. If an argument is going in circles, stop arguing. These aren't passive surrenders, right? They're intelligent engagements. You're noticing when you are adding unnecessary friction and choosing instead to step back and let the mind rest. Honestly, the solution usually presents itself only after you stop driving yourself crazy trying to find it. But what about bigger problems? When larger crises hit, we can turn to a classic Taoist metaphor from Chapter 15, which asks, can you keep the deep water still and clear so it reflects without blurring? It's all about patience. Because think about it, if you keep stirring muddy water, it's just going to stay muddy. But if you leave it alone, the sediment naturally settles and the water clears all by itself. And this brings us to the practice of strategic non-action. It means possessing the deep patience to wait out a hot emotion or a chaotic situation until the right action arises by itself. Now, let's be really clear here. This is very different from avoidance. Avoidance is hiding because you're afraid. Strategic non-action is waiting because the situation simply isn't ready yet.
And when action is genuinely required, you deliver the minimum, precise response needed, rather than a massive, dramatic overreaction. Moving right along to Section 4, Finding Abundance in Simplicity. The Tao Te Ching returns again and again to the incredible power of simplicity. It's all about getting way more depth from less complexity. Think about it. Every commitment you make and every physical possession you own is a tax on your attention. Taoism observes that eating a simple meal with full, undistracted presence is infinitely more nourishing than some fancy, expensive dinner eaten while you're scrolling on your phone or stressing about work. You literally get more from less when you bring high-quality attention to the moment. A truly fantastic way to practice this presence is through a concept called sanbu. It essentially translates to wandering without a destination. It's taking a walk simply to inhabit your body in the present moment, without trying to actually get anywhere. No podcasts, no phone calls, no rushing to your next meeting. You're just moving through space with attention. It settles the nervous system, loosens up all that anxious thinking, and reconnects you with the natural rhythm of your own body.
Okay, so how do we bring all this into the real world? To bring the Tao into your week, try these 3 simple experiments. Number 1, reclaim your morning window. Give yourself just 10 minutes of silence before looking at any screens. Number 2, eat one meal completely distraction-free to really practice that presence. And number 3, apply the muddy water test. Take one frustrating, hard problem and deliberately set it aside for 24 hours, just to see if the sediment settles and clarity emerges on its own.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. As you step back into your fast-paced day, look closely at your life and ask yourself, what unnecessary force can I drop right now? Where are you gripping just a little too tightly? The wisdom of the Tao Te Ching reminds us that we really don't always need to strive harder. Sometimes, by letting go of our obsession with control and unlearning our urge to force outcomes, we uncover our own natural balance. Try it out and see if you can find a little more effortless action in your week.